Welcome to the Solemn Vanguard channel. Today we do a Gredora deck profile. Special thanks to Harold who brought his deck over so we can review it. As always, this playmat will be available at the link in the description. Starting off, we have 4 of the boss monster, Gredora herself, of course. She's just an annoying cunt to deal with. She steals Counterblast and she also takes away 1 column from your opponent. 4 Alicides, or whatever the hell you want to call it, stuns a column, gets around resist, is also a gigantic beat stick, just very important for the deck because together with Overwhelm, this makes some gigantic columns. 4 of the 10k also forms a gigantic column and stops your opponent from rushing you early. 4 Stun Boy, because you do want to be able to create Dark Device for all of your columns. 3 of this, it's the same reasoning, but he's also a 16k. 4 of this PG, generally this deck countercharges a lot when you're running everything you need, and so you don't really need the unflip PG that much. 4 of this one, just another really annoying cunt to deal with for your opponent, counter charges for you if you need that, and then generally also is very hard to get around. So can't be stunned by your opponent, can't be retired for a Ziegenberg empty field kind of deal. Very handy all around. 3 of this Stride Fodder because we do run 8 grade 3s, and we also go to the deck very fast, so we generally do have the Stride Fodder necessary. 3 of this Transit Clone. Now you could definitely run the Ladybug that's basically a better sword breaker. You could, but Harold didn't bring that one. And so instead, we're running this Transit wannabe. Now this next part is where this deck is totally different from what you generally see in Japan. We have 6 stands. Now these have some really good skills. So these recycle and these go into the soul. Stunning, counter-charging, they do a lot. More importantly, this deck has gigantic columns, but no restanding. Overwhelm together with Alicides, you can easily get 40 to even 50k columns, but you don't get the full value out of that if you don't have stands. And since these recycle and the game can drag on, you can generally hit a lot of stands, upping that pressure even more. I like to compare it to Angel Feather, where those gigantic numbers get even scarier when running stands. Regardless, you could run this 12 crit variant that we see topping in Japan from time to time. 2 of this crit, 4 of this crit. As I said, we want to hit that Dark Device, and also this one recycles as well. So this version of the deck is basically playing for that long game, dragging out, and then eventually having a deck full of triggers you kept on recycling. You also have enough hand to go this minus, so it doesn't really matter, and then you win in the long term. Now 4 of the new one, this is just proxy, my bad. Well, no, not my bad, Harold's bad. So 4 of this new one for counter charge and soul charge. For starters, we have this one. There are many options you could be running, but this one is generally the most consistent. Can also be used in the early game, and considering stuff like Conroe and Chaos really likes forerunners that stay there, we really want to push it into the soul when we get the chance in that early game against those matchups. For the G zone, we have the 1 Zoa for if you want to cheese that win, and also let your people know you're running it so they have to hold on to 1 PG. For Overwhelm, let's be real, anything else you run in the G-Zone is totally irrelevant. You just keep on striding this card, maybe sometimes Opti-Randos, but generally you just stride this and win. It gives you draws, it gives you insane amounts of power, it's just a dumb card all around. This thing saves the deck. You could easily build Giraffa and still win purely off Overwhelm. Regardless, people learned how to play around this deck, and so now it's stopping a little bit less. 3 Opti-Randos, yes, this is proxy. Generally, you don't really need to go into 3, regardless, now that we are getting that Harry and Nitros in G-Boosters at 14. There's generally some value in running 3, but as long as that's not the case, 2 might just be fine. 2 of the GB8, but again, you generally just go into Overwhelm and win, but it's there. 1 Seabreeze, 2 of this, just a worse plot maker really. 2 of this one, really annoying for lots of matchups. People don't like losing their back row. And then 1 of this. It makes you plus when your opponent refuses to stun some stuff. And also counter charge, soul charge. So that was it for this Gredora deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. Generally, you could run this deck in so many ways. We found that this with the stats really just puts some extra pressure that most of these Gredora decks don't have. As I said before, this playmat will be available at the link in the description. Subscribe to the Soul on Vanguard channel for more. Click that bell button to stay up to date. Special thanks to Harold. Also, you should say belated happy birthday, Harold, in the comments down below. So really do that. Say happy birthday, Harold, in the comments down below. I will see you soon. Ciao.